So I've done a review on this shoe before. It's the Xero Shoes Mesa Trail 2. But now I've got 1,000 kilometers in them. I wanted to do a quick update. And whereas I'm not going to talk about the fit as much, I'm going to talk a little bit more about how I use them and the durability of the shoe. So I've taken these shoes through, well, quite a lot. I've done hundreds of miles on the Colorado Trail. I've done races across Andorra in these. And then I've even used them just as my everyday shoe. These are well worn down. And these are my door to trail kind of shoe because I don't really care what happens with them now. So I think it's worth starting with the actual durability of this shoe. So you can probably see on the camera, there's quite a lot of damage that's gone on. One with the outsole, one with the upper as well, and even some separation away from the outsole too. And to be honest, with a shoe that's done this many miles, then you kind of expect that a little bit. But at the same time, that might confuse you as well, because we know that Xero shoes have their 5,000 mile warranty. So really, shouldn't these actually last 5,000 miles? Well, it's actually a bit confusing. So the warranty itself covers the outsole, and it specifically says if it's worn down to X amount of millimeters, I think it's 1 or 2 millimeters of the rubber. So it's basically when this tread is worn all the way down and you can nearly see your foot poking through the bottom. It doesn't cover anything to do with this upper at all or this separation. It may be covered in like a manufacturer's guarantee or warranty, but at the same time, that would only be if it happened within the first few weeks or months. So don't expect these to actually go 5,000 miles. I don't expect that at all. It's worth noting that it actually cracked on the outsole here. And this happened quite early on, actually. I had it on the other shoe as well. It cracked in the heel. And I'm not quite sure why this happened. I don't usually have this. Maybe because the rubber is a little bit tougher than, say, some of the other Xero shoes, trail shoes at least, anyway. And because it was a bit tougher, maybe I stepped on a rock and it kind of gashed it a bit and it poked through. Either way, I kept running with them and it didn't really get any worse, so I didn't mind too much. But it should be something to think about at least anyway when you're buying these shoes. And obviously, like this is an area that often goes with many shoes, actually, many barefoot shoes. It's just around this forefoot area here. You get holes that actually start tearing in there. And that's just because this forefoot flexes a lot. Well, we really want that in in a barefoot shoe or minimal shoe, is we want the foot to work as it would without the shoe on. So this kind of motion here, we would see the toes flexing and the windlass mechanism basically propelling you off of each stride. So it makes sense why this material, especially when it's thinner, why it actually breaks down prematurely. And then I suppose the last part of the durability side is basically separation of the outsole to the upper here. I had it in the heel, pretty sure this could happen anywhere, although these overlays are actually quite good and the glue is obviously stuck very nicely around all of this overlay all the way around here. So it's actually done pretty well here. Can't really say why the heel kind of started to go here, but this actually happened quite recently though. Maybe a quick note on the lacing. One of the loops did just start to fray here, and eventually, yes, this would actually go through and cause an issue because there's no other way of actually tightening the shoe there. So you're gonna end up with some loose section around this midfoot here or forefoot. So that wouldn't be too great. And lastly, I suppose the other thing was that on the other shoe, the footbed actually started to wear through here as well. All in all, though, at 1,000 kilometers, and considering I run these on the road, and considering I don't really get shoes to this mileage most of the time, I'd be pretty happy with it, really. But that's something that you just have to kind of decide for yourself. So I want to quickly discuss where I've been using these shoes. And I mentioned a few races and a few long distance things where I'd actually used these already. And the reason I do use these shoes is because these are the most minimal trail shoes that I have. And you get to feel pretty much everything. There is a little bit of protection underfoot here. Like I said, this is a slightly stiffer rubber, but at the same time, you really do feel quite a lot in these shoes. And that's why I choose them. So if I know the trail is going to be free of sharp rocks or not going to be running on sharp gravel or something like that, then I'll choose these shoes because I want to feel the ground. I want to get that minimal feeling and make the shoe get out the way and let the foot actually do the work. So that's why I choose this. And why did I choose it on a race? I did actually question if I should have worn a different pair for this race. Specifically, it was at Andorra 50K. And there were some sections which were quite technical. And I did kick a few rocks and my big toes kind of suffered. So maybe if you're looking for more protection, I would say don't go with this Mesa Trail 2. I would probably opt for the Primus Trail from Vivo Barefoot now because that has a huge amount of protection around the sides, but and also on the outsole. At the same time, it doesn't quite feel as barefoot. So it just depends what you're looking for. So if you're looking for a true minimal barefoot feeling, then this does a really, really good job. I also started using it basically just like every day. So when I go out for a run, even if it was on the road, sometimes I just start wearing this because it is one of the shoes that I get quite a lot of flexibility and quite a lot of ground feel through. So I just enjoyed running in it in general. And also the fit, because this upper is quite nice and flexible. It molded to my foot quite nicely. It got this lacing dialed in. I actually run these shoes without the insole in now, and it really did mold to my foot. It's worth noting that yes, there is quite a lot of depth in this shoe. So if you do have a shallower foot, definitely keep that insole in being one, but also it might not fit the best. And then lastly, this toe box, well, it's not quite the widest on the market. For me, it works perfectly fine. And for quite a few other people out there, it probably works fine too. But if you've got that wider toe splay, it might not work. But if your midfoot is a bit wider, just like mine, then there's enough give in this upper to be able to actually accommodate a wider midfoot. So would I buy this shoe again? Yes, for definite. If I didn't have a bunch of other minimal shoes that I'm trying to test at the time. But would I go with this model again? Yes, absolutely. I love it for the barefoot feeling, and obviously it's going to be that great training shoe. It might not be the best option if it's the only trail shoe that you could have, because you might want a bit more protection just so you could actually run it on those alpine trails, those rocky trails, but also those sandy trails where this actually does a good job. So really it's up to you, and depending on which trails you actually want to take this on.